Our first speaker today is Kristin Malek. Kristin is the Director of Business Development at CDW, and she's a member of SheTek's advisory board. She's going to talk to us about leadership and diversity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your sponsorship of Networking Night. I just think it's so important when we can and when we can safely get back together and reconnect. So thank you for your support. And thank you to SheTek for inviting me back. I'm super excited for the conference today. I am not a subject matter expert in so many of the topics. So while I'm participating this morning, going to be a participant. I'm excited to hear about more on crypto. I think that's just fascinating. And then of course, as you'll learn, the discussion around AI for the disability community and how we continue to advance them and supporting them to have reasonable accommodations and opportunities to have fulfilling work is near and dear to my heart. And so, what I thought I would do, and to be mindful of time, because anytime you're on a virtual experience, right, it's how do we get to, less of a monologue and more of a dialogue. And so I won't use all the time that I was granted today, and decided not to do, a PowerPoint or a Slick, but just wanted to share that why I believe in SheTek and why CDW believes in SheTek. And I loved the intro. But if you saw the list of things that SheTek does from a leadership standpoint, talking through student ambassadors, mentorship, connections, job readiness, we are at a really pivotal point right now. And I'm not saying anything that perhaps anyone joining us today or the next day if it's perhaps recorded and sent out, but we are at an intersection of wanting a pre-pandemic life, but knowing that we can't because the future must be better and different. And so what I call that is standing in the gap. And so I was raised to stand in the gap, and I raised my two little girls, my 13 and 11-year-old, to stand in the gap. And so what I would offer is to use this time together today collectively, and the next day and the next day when you're meeting with your mentors and people in your network, is just ask, how do I stand in the gap? What does the intersection look like today for me, and how can I contribute? We are not in a shortage of where we need people to support us and to say, how can I contribute? I think we're in a time of economic anxiety. We're in a time of understanding that when we help those within the margins, we help all. And so I'm going to say that again, because I think it's been said so many times in different ways, but simply put, when we decide and intentionally help those in the margins, we will help everyone. The best example I can share just at face value is looking at, the workforce today and the return to work, the going into an office, the hybrid approach, right? Whatever the word might be, but we find ourselves seeking and listening to the workforce on what do they need to either come back to work, to enjoy their work, have fulfilling work. That's called accommodations, right? And so if we think about a marginalized community, perhaps the disability community that's on the agenda today, they've been asking for accommodations for years to have meaningful work. Asking for an accommodation today, with or without a disability, is really the standard. And so that's just a great example of when we help those in the margins, we actually will help all. And so I am excited to see advancement in those raising their hands, those of you showing up today, wanting to learn, wanting to listen, wanting to get information at your fingertips so that when you touch the world and it spins one more day today, that it didn't turn without your fingertips on it. We all have to be charged to do something, big or small. I'm a fan of small activity. I think that's how the ocean rises, ripple by ripple, not leaps and bounds. And so everybody joining today and then your network and their network, doing small intentional contributions to move forward in progress is really how change is made, and how you can continue to step out of the gap and make the gap less wide. What I would also share, with technology is, people ask me, why are you in technology? And, two reasons. One, I have FOMO like all the time. And so I think everything's about technology. So I have to be in technology because everything is just centered around technology. But the true reason, that I love working in technology is because of the demand that technology calls for to improve humanity. And if you can think back, again, we're not turning the page to a year of grievances, but if we think back to 2020 and 2021, technology and data proved just how critical it was during COVID. The data was able to tell us where we could move, where you could travel, what you could do, who could go to school, when you could go to school, when you could board a plane. It all centered around data. We would wait every day for the data to tell us what to do. And so there were so many lessons over the past 2 years. But one that has stuck true to me, that is really stained my brain, if you will, is that the data matters, and everything is done around technology. And so attending a technology conference today, talking about how we lift women, in this space is a super critical, time spent for you. So I want to encourage you to take notes, to ask questions, to be interactive, to be a mentor if you can. There is a long list of mentees who have signed up, and I loved the opening of saying, I need help. I want to learn. We only learn when we listen. And so to take the opportunity to listen. I think we are also coming back as better storytellers. There is a more empathetic approach in our communities and your sub-communities. And so to embrace that and be a storyteller yourself and listen to the storytellers so that we can be relentless learners. I applaud everyone who put the conference together and who showed up to be here today with I have my pen and paper, and I took all those notes of to be visible, seek visibility. If you ask, you lose nothing. That I'm going to share with my daughters as soon as the conference is over today. But to ask and to seek visibility, because everybody deserves that. And not even deserves, has earned that. But there is a need for everybody to contribute right now, to solve problems, to create solutions so that we can not just stand in the gap, but take the step forward that there is a demand for. So thank you to SheTek. CDW loves this organization and all that you stand for.